at his house. He had magazines. And somebody had like chiseled some tits into the wood, into a tree near our home and stuff like that. And we had that when I was young, and people would show up to that like it was some like kind of like a, some mahogany chest mecca or something. People would make the pilgrimage to see that in the woods.
That's hot.
Yeah, it's hot. But at one point, I had a buddy, and his dad had some porno magazines, and dude, I remember once I'd seen those, I would bike across town on the weekends to go to their home, and I would kind of loiter around the house until there was an opportunity to go see them. And one weekend, I even broke into a window. I didn't break the glass. That's crazy, but I did.
That would have been too much.
Yeah.
You would have crossed the line, yeah.
But I snuck in and I didn't realize it at the time. It was just like, I didn't even realize that I was doing it. But when I later look back at it, it was like, oh, it just like, there was a comforting thing, or there was like this addiction that started. Yeah. Anyway, go on, man. So you had taken these computers in.
Yeah. And, it was just a sign that I was really struggling with this. I couldn't stop. And, there was such a progression to this. Even like taking more risk on where I'd watch porn. I'd watch it in the office on my work computer, which is kind of insane when you think about it.
Yeah.
And, I start watching different types of porn. Categories I didn't even know existed, right? You go down the left-hand side of that porn, category after category after category. And for me, I started gravitating towards like fetish porn, and then eventually porn outside of my sexual orientation. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why this was so intoxicating and why I couldn't stop. And the problem was, there's nothing wrong with that type of porn, but for me, it brought up so much shame. And that shame was so debilitating in my life. And so it was really a painful experience. This was a long time ago, so there wasn't information around that. There wasn't a place to go and talk about this stuff. So I just had this kind of really horrible feeling. I was engaging in a behavior that didn't feel like it was in alignment with my values, and I was suffering.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Okay.
I know that we've talked about this kind of a lot, and I've heard you share before. But anytime somebody says that they feel a lot of shame, like it just really resonates with me, man. I've felt a lot of that in my life. Is just shame for different things. It's so powerful,
and you can't stop.
And you said this sounds like a long time ago, man. I've had friends that I've talked to this week that it's the same story. Yeah, man, I can relate to like looking at pornography and the horror you feel after. But then you still need something but then like it kind of wears off, or you get out of that shame, and then you again are looking for something that'll kind of give you a feeling, something makes me feel good about myself, or I'm not dating well, or I'm afraid of women, anything, whatever's going on, and then you find yourself back there.
Well, it's interesting, like the ease and accessibility of porn today anyway, make it so easy to regulate your emotions with it. Right? You just think about how you're able to really avoid discomfort.
Like, what do you mean exactly? Like,
Avoid it. Because here's the deal, right? If you're feeling anxious, you watch porn, you feel temporarily calm, right? You're feeling bored, you watch porn, you feel some stimulation. You're feeling lonely, you watch porn, you feel artificial connection. So porn, for me, can actually affect and change my mood. So why is that a bad thing? Right? And so, because porn can work in the short term. It can. But what happens, especially for me, is I weaken my ability to regulate my own emotions. So stopping watching porn wasn't just stopping a bad habit. I had to learn how to regulate my own emotions. I had to learn to deal with triggers and urges. And so there was this kind of incredible process that kind of weaning myself off porn was just not easy.
Thanks for sharing, man. Yeah, let's go back into your journey a little bit.
Yeah. And so, we're in this place right now where I'm, using porn to deal with the pain of being Steve.
You were in this place.
Yeah. So, and, at that time I was in a relationship as well, and great girl. And, throughout that relationship, the more porn that I consumed, things started to change. Sex wasn't about connection, making love. It was about intercourse over time. it was about replicating what I'd seen in the movies. You know, I often like to say pornography abuse literally burns off the nerve endings of sensuality in relationships. Less kissing, touching, holding, caressing. And that certainly was the case for me. And, you know, over time in that relationship, you know, I experienced a lot of sexual dysfunction. I had difficulty getting and maintaining an erection during sex.
Yeah.
Over time, I actually didn't even want to have sex with her. I've been so desensitized to sex with all the porn I was watching and masturbation I was engaging in. And towards the very end, I couldn't orgasm unless I was thinking about a porn scene I had seen earlier that day.
Wow.
So pornography robbed me of my manhood. And, you know, that poor girl, I mean, talk about affecting her self-esteem and self-worth. Like, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't he desire me anymore? Am I not attractive anymore? And I had no ability to talk about this at this time.